Hello, I'd like to show you how you can use my AI bot, little DET, little DET, for the Duolingo English Test for speaking practice. This will help you understand where you are at the moment, and you can use it constantly in order to improve your speaking abilities for the DET. So you can see here the first screen of my bot when you come to it, little DET, and I'm going to press the start button here to get it going. Now, the drop-down menu comes, and you can see here I've got four possibilities for the speaking part. I'm actually going to focus today on interactive speaking, and we're going to show you how it works when you're doing a full test. So I'm not really going to talk about the way to use my bot. I hope you can work that out intuitively, but just how to do the interactive speaking test. So I'm going to press that button there. That's the third button down. And here we go already, and we get our first questioner up, first of 6 questions.
I would like to ask you a few questions about space exploration. Should governments continue to fund space exploration programs?
I think yes, definitely. We have benefited greatly from the exploration of space since the early 1950s, since we went into space as the human race. Of course, it was different countries that did it. And we have seen some great technological advances because of that investment. I think the only organizations in most countries that can do it at that level is the government with taxation. Obviously, we're seeing more new companies coming through, investing privately, but they're still joining together and still relying on government investment in order to get into space. So we've now finished the first part, and we can see there that my recording is now rendering by the bot, and it's now been sent now, and now we're going to get, obviously, there we go, the second question. Let's listen for it.
Interesting. Let me ask you another question. What practical benefits has space exploration provided?
Well, I think there are many practical benefits. First of all, the use of technology in general has been driven by space. Practical benefits we can see there is materials that we use in space which are now used on Earth. Also, I know something banal, but you can have a pen that now writes upside down against gravity that they developed for space use. I think also medicinal purposes. We've actually developed drugs in space because zero gravity means it's a different process, and that's also helped. So there are many improvements we've received technologically from space advances. So that's question 2 done. It's now again rendering. You need a bit of patience for this, for the bot, because it depends on your connection with the internet and how strong and how quick it is. So, and let's move on. Here we go, question 3. Let's listen.
Interesting. I've got a different question. How might space tourism develop in the future?
Yes, interesting. We've probably visited every place on Earth at the moment, so I suppose tourists would want to go somewhere new. And space exploration is actually leading into tourism. We've already seen private enterprises paying tourists paying them to go into space. And I think that's going to develop as safety margins get tighter, and of course people become more used to it. So I think we'll see people on the moon within a few years, and Mars maybe within 50 years. So it's going to happen, space tourism, definitely. Okay, and we can see now, we're rendering the bot, but we've got to wait till the 35 seconds is completely up before the bot renders completely. So now that's question 3. Now we're going to move on to a new topic. Let's listen.
Let's speak about a new subject. Personal finance. Why is financial literacy important for young people?
Oh, it's so important. In fact, it's so important that it should be, I think, as a subject at school on a curriculum, so that people are taught, young people are taught how to use personal finance and control their finances. In today's world, if you don't have a bank account and you don't know how to use a bank account, you're in trouble. You need a bank account in order to pay taxes, to pay bills, to get your salary. No longer can we rely on cash anymore. And in fact, that cash process may even be going. So if people can't use their banking and don't know how to be financial literate, they're going to have problems in the future. So it's incredibly important. Okay, that's just question number 4. Let's now listen to question number 5. Okay. Still rendering. Here's 5 coming up now. 1 second again. I've got a slight slow on the internet. Let's listen.
Okay, I have another question. What are the challenges of saving money in today's economy?
Or the challenges of saving money in today's economy is manifold. First of all, we've seen prices increase dramatically since 2020 in the last 5 years, and that has had a major impact on people's living standards. So consequently, the ability to save money has reduced because the price of living has gone up. So we've got less disposable income left at the end of the month for our salaries in order to put away to save. So that's difficult. Inflation, of course, is eating into people's savings as well because they're not being paid as much money as inflation is running. So yeah, it's a big challenge. Okay, that's question 5. And now we're going to come up to the last question. And then it will all go off to be analysed by the bot and we'll get feedback. So let's have a look here. Last question. Here we go. Let's listen.
Okay, let me ask you another question. Should schools teach students about personal finance?
Well, I've already alluded to that in my previous response, that it's incredibly important that this is done. So schools should teach students at school about personal finance. I wish I'd had it when I was at school. We were taught trigonometry, logarithms. I don't know why I was taught that. I never used them since. But if I'd been taught how to run a bank, how to run my finances at school, that would have given me enormous benefits afterwards. And I think it's something we should take cognizance of and make sure that in future students at school leave the school with knowledge about how to run their own personal finances. It's very, very important, and it should be done as a curricular activity, definitely. Okay, so that's me done then the full 35 seconds on that question, and I've answered 6 questions, and it's now rendering. So now, of course, it says there, all responses received, processing your conversation. So it's now going off to the bot, AI to review, and it's asked me to be patient because it may take 1 to 2 minutes. Okay, so I won't talk on, but I mean, as far as preparing for, while we're waiting, let's talk about preparing for the speaking test in the little DET, in the Duolingo English Test. I found that although the conversations are short and brief, you really need to focus for 35 seconds to make sure, first of all, you're coherent in your response. You're answering the question that is asked, and not just something that's not associated at all, or your ideas. Secondly, you need to make sure that there is a coherence to it, so it leads one to the other, that you're using words that connect, and then after that, consequently, and so on, so that the listener can follow it as they would normally do with a normal speech from a native speaker. Your grammar also must be up to spec to ensure that when you're giving your message across, it shows that you're using the right grammar in the right context, whether that be formal or informal. You have to ensure that it's done. And finally, of course, vocabulary. Vocabulary is 100% important, like anything here. And there we have response, and it's given me a C2, yep, native like, which is expected because I am a native myself and I'm also a teacher. As you can see here, it's given me information about each question and how I responded, and accordingly, and that's also a big help. And at the bottom, of course, it's given me some ideas of how I can improve my speech during this test. So there we go. That's the Duolingo English Test speaking practice, interactive speaking, which is only one of 4. There are others, of course. There's talking about a picture or speak about the picture. There's also read, then speak. And finally, there is the one we know, which is the long haul, where you have to speak for 3 minutes. Okay, so here you could try another item here, another theme. You can go back to main menu, or you could exit this practice completely, or you can support me if you want, if you think it's been worthwhile, and buy me a coffee. So I'm going to go back to the main menu here, And then from there, I'm just going to wait until, maybe do another one if I can't. If I know I can go help and info, and that will help me. If I want to go back to the main menu, I can go there. And there we are, back to scratch. And I can start again by clicking on the main menu. Okay, I hope it helps. I've done my best to ensure that it covers the right way that DET do the test. And I hope that it indeed will give you a good experience for practicing. Take care, all the best. Bye-bye.